왔어요.
맞구나. 여행자랑 페이몬이네.
이거 정말 서프라이즈인걸? 마지막 플레이어가 너희들이었어?
미니, 프리나도 있네. 나머지 두 플레이어가
난 유령 회원쯤 되려나? 활동을 별로 안 했거든. 부프대테 내가 플레이어가 돼서 대본을 체험하는 건
난 클럽 회원은 아니야. 클로린드가 꼭두 새벽부터 괜찮은 대본이 있다고 문을 두들겨대서 오게 된 거지.
원하시면 제가 추천인이 되어드릴게요. 그럼 가입비가 40% 할인되거든요.
일단 이번 대본 퀄리티를 보고 결정할게. 해보고 괜찮으면 가입할 거야. 클로린드는 테이블 극단을 자주 하는...
그럼 클럽에서 내로라 하는 베테랑 진행자라.
맞아. 그건 나도 클로린드 상사일 때부터 알았어.
그냥 취미일 뿐이니 그렇게 놀라지 마.
세상에, 평소엔 위험 있는 결투 대리인의 모습만 봐서 그런지 모두와 테이블 극...
농담은 난 그런 식으로 플레이어를 곤란하게 만들지 않아. 일과 여가는 구분해야지. 심판총에서의 나는 폰타인의 법과 규칙을 대표하고 자신의 명예를 지키려는 사람에게 공정한 결투를 선사해. 거기에 사적인 감정은 전혀 없어. 하지만 평소에 나는 모두와 똑같이 평범한 사람이야. 슬퍼하기도 하고 화를 내기도 하지.
거짓말! 오랫동안 같이 지냈지만 눈물 한 방울 구경 못했다고. 화내는 건 제법 봤어도. 아니, 그냥 화난 것처럼 보일 뿐인 건가?
그때 저는 일하는 중이었으니까요.
그래? 그치만 넌 평소에도 감정 변화가 크지 않아 보이는걸?
제가 우는 걸 보고 싶으신가요? 그건 좀 어렵겠네요. 화내는 거면 몰라도요.
아니, 난 그런 뜻이 아니라...
나왔어! 소개할게! 이분이 바로 이번 대본 책임자
안녕하세요.
안녕?
아니요. 이건 클럽에서 받은
정말 열심히
아니에요. 연기자가 이야기. 그럼 제가 간단히 이번 대본은 그림자 사냥꾼의 역사를 각색한 거예요. 여러분은 그 시대의 그림자 사냥...
난 그림자 사냥꾼...
네, 그럼요. 간단히 소개하자면 그림자 사냥꾼은 특수한 검술을 계승한 사람으로 마물을 그들의 이야기는 고대 레무리아 왕조와 더 자세한 내용은 여러분이 직접
나도 중간중간 더 자세히 설명해줄게.
그럼 용감한 사냥꾼.
분위기가
훌륭하군. 그대들에게서 굳건한 의지가 보이는구나.
이야기 전개에 따라 정해진 장소로 가는 방식인가? 제법 신선한걸?
첫 번째 장소에 구체적인 위치와 현장 사용 허가가 들어있어요. 상당히 꼼꼼하게 준비했네요. 그럼 다들 빠뜨린 물건 없게 잘 챙기시고 준비되면 저를 따라 이동하시죠.
좋아!
Reconstitute! Bring it!
따따따! 보잉 보잉! 점핑 점핑 점!
They really have thought of everything. Even the phaetometer is here and ready to go for us.
The phaetometer. What's that?
It's a card that's used to determine action success or
And what about all the dessert and tea? Is that for us as well?
That's what the message said.
Really? That's so nice. It feels just like a tea party with friends.
Those snacks have Paimon's
I think you might be
Snack Hunter Paimon reported for duty. If there are delicious snacks to be found, Paimon will track down every last one.
The desserts are great. But I'm still looking forward to the story more than anything.
Very fair. Then, let us begin. First, please pick up the blank character cards in front of you and write down your name and profession. You can find an abbreviated version of the rules printed on the back of your character card. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. In this story, everyone is a Marachose hunter. To reflect this, the club has prepared a small badge for everyone.
Ooh, nice.
As hunters, you have proficiency in swordsmanship and fighting by default, so there's no need to allocate any additional skill points to those areas.
Swordsmanship? So there's a fighting part to all of this?
Why don't you share a character card then? The Traveler will be the Marachose hunter, and you can be her little floating assistant.
Kinda like in real life.
So, for the name, do I fill it out with the name of my character?
Yep, it can be any name you like.
You can use your real name too if you want. I do that whenever I get too lazy to think of a new name.
Oh, so it would be like experiencing a different life, but still as yourself. That's not a bad idea.
In that case, I think I'll continue.
Next up is the skill sheet. You have a limited amount of skill points that you can use to learn a number of skills. The more points you invest in a particular skill, the easier it will be to pass associated checks.
I'll take persuasion and investigation. Those are must-haves when it comes to missions like these.
Oh, those skills sound like they'd be useful for gathering intelligence.
So, should we also take those skills then?
Not necessarily. Since we're working together as a team, we could leave the negotiations to Navia and use our skill points to pick up other useful skills. For example, I think I'll take stealth and sleight of hand. That will give us more options if we run into any situations we can't negotiate our way out of.
Oh, interesting. I wasn't thinking about it like that. I suppose it's not so different from an acting troupe. Everyone has their own role to play. Let me see. I'll take arts and performance. I'm not quite sure what use they'll be, but I'm not as knowledgeable about the other skills, and I'm not too confident I'd be able to roleplay them well.
Well, that leaves us. What do you want to learn, Traveler? Ha! Gotta say, this suits you really well. Nothing boosts morale like good food. Ooh, so you want to help people. So what do you think? Are you sure you want to learn these two skills?
Let's see. Oh, looks like you each have enough points to choose one final skill.
You've all picked such classic skills. It's fine to go a little bit out of the box, you know.
Why do I get the feeling she's getting ready to cause trouble?
For example, this one here. Summon. Doesn't it sound super mysterious and cool?
Oh, I saw that one just now as well. The description says, this skill can be used under certain circumstances to summon characters or creatures that fit the script's world-building rules.
The script's world-building rules, huh?
Oh, that's not for us to worry about, my friend. Just learn the skills that interest you, and the GM will take care of the rest.
All right, you've convinced Paimon. Let's learn Summon, then. Paimon can't wait to see what kind of thing shows up.
Well, now that everyone's more or less finished creating their characters, we can begin. Since two of our players are doing this for the first time, though, let me ask. Would you like to play on easy mode or
authentic mode.
What's the difference between the two?
Well, in role-playing games, the story sometimes changes based on the decisions of the players and the results of the fatometer. For example, if you fail a check, that means you cannot use the target skill in that scenario. A critical failure may even result in further negative consequences. If you choose to play in authentic mode, every time you elect to use a skill, you'll need to use the fatometer to see whether you succeed or fail, and face any consequences that may follow. If you choose easy mode instead, every check will be successful by default, and you won't have to worry about luck playing a factor.
Given that I'd like to focus on the story, I suppose I should pick easy mode. I'd feel bad if I brought the team down by failing my checks.
Huh? Oh, come on. Don't worry about that. RNG is the lifeblood of role-playing games. I'm going with authentic mode for sure. Never knowing what you might have to overcome. Ugh, doesn't that sound exciting?
I'd rather be mentally prepared for what might happen.
All right, then I'll mark down Farina for easy mode. All her checks will be successful by default. As usual, Navia and Linny will play on authentic mode.
What about you, dear partner? How would you like to play?
Are you sure?
Trust me, you'll see the beauty of RNG. Honestly, I don't think chlorinde would make things too difficult for us no matter what the fatometer says. Isn't that right, chlorinde?
No promises.
That wasn't super reassuring.
Well, anyway, enough talk. Let's get started. I want to experience at least a good chunk of the story today.
Speaking of the story, why is the beginning scene on a beach?
Well, that's because, a long time ago, back when human civilization was still in its infancy, powerful demons and evil sorcerers ruled over the land. They created a host of monsters and sent them to slaughter all humans in existence. Soon, a group of human rebels banded together With their swords raised, they swore to brave the darkness, and in doing so, subdue each and every monster that sought their destruction. They became known as the Marashosei Hunters. Sometime later, as a member of the Marashosei Hunters, you receive a commission. Following the address provided on the message, you take a boat and arrive at this strange city. As you inhale, you can taste the slightly salty air of the docks as you begin to survey your surroundings. There aren't many people in the vicinity, but you do take note of a few others who, like you, seem to be sizing up this place. Your eyes meet, and you realize these people are fellow Marashosei hunters, likely led to this location after receiving the same commission as you.
You're all Marashosei hunters too, right? Allow me to introduce myself. The name's Navia, monster hunter by trade and helpful neighborhood businesswoman on the side. What say you to traveling together? We can help each other out on the road.
Okay, count me in. My name is Linny. I've been wandering since I was little and picked up a few less than legal tricks along the way. I was adopted by a Marashosei hunter and later chose to follow in his footsteps.
Is this where you introduce your character to everyone? It sounds like they've done this dozens of times. My name is Farina, and, I grew up in a noble family. I always had a strong interest in performance and the arts. Even though I'm a Marashosei hunter, what I really want is to be a performing artiste.
Hey, that's really cool. You can do it, Farina. That's exactly how it's done.
Paimon is Paimon, a good friend and companion to this Marashosei hunter right here.
I've been studying the culinary arts since I was a child. I hope my delicious food can help boost people's spirits.
That's wonderful. I'll be looking forward to your cooking during our adventures together.
Well, if we're all here for the same commission, why don't we take some time to confirm what we need to do?
You open your envelopes at the same time. The message reads, "To the honorable and trustworthy Marashosei hunters, our kingdom is currently facing a grave crisis. The lands outside the capital have been overtaken by monsters, and our people are being led astray by forces of wickedness. We beseech you, please help us resolve this crisis and return peace and stability to our home."
The layout of this city looks super familiar. It kind of reminds Paimon of Mondstadt.
The scriptwriter must have used a real-world city as a reference when coming up with the map.
As experienced hunters, the layout of the city reminds you of places once traveled. You recall the sight of tree-lined streets and the gentle tranquility of days gone by. Yet, As you regard the city in front of you, it appears to be little more than an empty shell. Its hollow gates are open to you, beckoning you to come forth and bring salvation back to the town.
I carefully read every line of the letter and turn my attention to the signatures at the bottom.
You see a long string of unfamiliar names. It would seem that many of the residents of the city issued this commission together. They sensed that things were not right within the kingdom and sent a distress signal to the outside world.
In that case, why don't we take a walk around the city and see if we can learn anything from the local residents?
Oh, good idea. We might be able to get some leads on the monsters and bad guys we're after.
You look up and see a tavern nearby. It appears to be open for the day.
Why don't we go check out that tavern? If the novels I've read are anything to go by, taverns are usually full of information.
As you approach the tavern, you find a plainly dressed woman standing nearby. She appears to be rather troubled about something.
Greetings, friend. Lovely weather we're having today, don't you think?
Oh, hello. I suppose you're right. The weather today is quite lovely. If only those monsters out there would stop causing trouble.
It seems like every character included in the script has a certain amount of useful information to offer. If we keep asking questions, we might be able to get some good leads.
Oh, come now, don't be sad. Life is all about optimism. Oh, that reminds me. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Huh?
I don't think that's the kind of question we're supposed to ask.
Nothing turns a frown upside down like good food. How about some macarons? I could make you some.
You didn't even take cooking as one of your skill proficiencies.
That's not necessary, miss. Excuse me for saying this, but you don't really look like a chef. Besides, I'm not really a fan of sweets.
So you're someone who barely smiles and doesn't like sweets. You're really starting to remind me of this one friend of mine. Hey! Did she just... me?
Chlorinde must have broke character for a second.
This isn't getting us anywhere. Traveler, maybe you can think of something.
Are you sure? In that case, please refer to the phaetometer. You remain silent as you prepare a pot and fire to use for cooking. The woman stares at you with her mouth agape as you skillfully cut the ingredients and toss them into the pot. After some time, a rich aroma begins to fill the air. Even a passing cat can't help but stop in its tracks and look up in anticipation.
Please have some food. Who knows? Maybe you'll feel better after eating something delicious.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Wait. So, as long as you pass the check, you can pretty much do anything? And it won't be seen as absurd?
Oh, thank you. You were right. This food really did make me feel better.
So, what had you so worried earlier? Could you tell us a bit more about it?
Okay, let me fill you in. A horde of monsters suddenly appeared near the capital recently, so all the guards were dispatched to fight them.
Do you remember when those monsters appeared?
I'm not completely sure. All I know is that my husband was dispatched to fight them 3 days ago.
Do you know where he was sent?
It all happened so fast. When we said our goodbyes, he couldn't even tell me where they were sending him.
You have our thanks, friend. We'll find and defeat those monsters as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Don't worry. We'll find him. Just try to remain optimistic and wait for good news. We don't always get to choose what happens to us. But we do get to choose the little things, like what we eat and how we respond to the things life throws our way. I hope that one day, you too will recognize the power of something as small and inconsequential as a delicious dessert.
I'll do my best. You bid farewell to the woman, and continue your journey further into the city. As you venture further into the city, the streets appear largely empty. An elderly woman walks past. You see her shake her head as she puts away her wrinkled wallet. A nearby merchant folds his arms and gives you a disdainful look. You get the impression that he's someone who has long gotten used to the sight before him.
Although he doesn't seem very friendly, merchants are usually a good source of information, right?
Pardon me, sir. I'd like to ask a question if I may.
That depends. How much are you?
How about...
What do you take me for? Some low...
Surely an onion can't be that
what do you know? War is nearly upon us.
surely an onion can't be that expensive, right?
Whoa, what a nasty guy. Maybe we shouldn't even bother talking to him.
But he still might have information we need. Traveler, can you think of something?
Okay, while everyone is talking, I secretly use my magic props to summon a bottle of wine without the merchant noticing. We meant no offense, sir. Here, allow me to offer you this bottle of vintage wine, made only from the finest grapes. I'll just leave it here. Please, enjoy it at your leisure. Ah, I should mention that this wine is the perfect accompaniment to a meal. I'd suggest enjoying it with dinner.
All right. Go on and ask. What do you want to know?
Do you have any information on the monsters or the crisis that has overtaken the kingdom?
Crisis. If you ask me, there's a crisis everywhere you look. Those monsters are camped outside the city, and they've been we have limited reserves within the city.
Wait, you're saying no one has put a plan in place to distribute supplies or maintain order?
We could all starve, and those nobles in the palace wouldn't even break a sweat. Who knows? Maybe they've been in cahoots with the
That is concern. Thank you, sir. We won't.
Hey, why did you leave in such a hurry?
Well, you see, that bottle of wine was just a cardboard.
Should we try to go somewhere with more people?
Oh, how about the city square? Follow me.
Before you lies the city's central square. You see a man with a slightly anxious look on his face, pacing back and forth, his head hanging low. He doesn't seem to notice your approach. Still immersed in his own thoughts, he shakes his head and lets out a long sigh.
This guy seems promising enough. Maybe I can get some information out of him. Hello, sir. Is there anything I can do to help you?
Wait, oh, dear goodness!
You recognize us?
Yes, yes!
What happened?
Alas, we once lived comfortable, carefree lives. This city used to be... However, monsters have once again surrounded the city. Perhaps the seal that kept them out...
Are there not enough soldiers to drive them out?
It's not a question of numbers. The guards simply have no idea how to deal with them. Most people my age have never even seen one of the monsters, much less been trained to fight against them. What's worse, many of us don't even know that. When I was a child, though, my grandfather would tell me stories about how the Marashose hunters... To be perfectly honest, I was starting...
Well, you can rest easy, friend. The righteous and formidable Marashose hunters are...
The man is touched by your determination and resolve. His eyes begin to well with tears of relief.
Still, if we are going to hunt the monsters, we need to know where to find them. Can you give us any leads?
All I know is that the area outside... Oh, although, if you leave the capital through the main gate and follow the road, you should run into a group of guards. They might know more about where to find them.
I see. We'll go look for them then.
All right, be careful. Oh, and one last thing. The monsters outside the city are just part of the problem. They're actively working with the monsters, and have corrupted the court ministers with malicious magic. They're the reason why even one of our kindest ministers has turned into a boorish and unreasonable figure. Interested?
Talk about being stuck between a...
I feel bad for him. Maybe we should try to cheer him up?
Huh? Like, now? Is this really the right time?
I appreciate your kindness. Brave hunters, I leave the future of the...
understood correctly, there are currently 2 problems in the kingdom that need solving, right?
Exactly. We need to defeat the monsters outside.
But which problem should we tackle first?
Well, this seems like a good moment for a break. Take some time and discuss what you want to do. Let me know when you've made your decision.
I really didn't expect the people in the city to keep us at arm's length like that. I totally thought the hunters would be treated like heroes.
Well, Chlorinde said the script took cues from the real history of Fontaine, right?
I wouldn't say it's a perfect representation of history, but there are definitely some similarities. Would you like to hear more about it?
Sure. As long as it doesn't spoil anything in the script. You brought up bits and pieces of the hunter's history before, but it was all in passing.
Paimon wants to know too! The hunters were super powerful, right? Were they all from a special line of supernatural beings or something?
No. All Marashose hunters were ordinary mortal fighters. The only thing that set them apart were the special sword techniques passed down over the centuries.
Huh? So you mean anyone could become a Marashose hunter?
performance? I've never played a role-playing game like this before, but even I can tell that suggestion is pretty far-fetched. Is a performance check really going to help here? Alright. Ahem. By the harbor's grace, a lone boat lies in rest. Let the moon give chase, for here begins our quest. In the dark of shadow, our heroes seek to find where creatures born of evil weave their grand design. Blocked the road does stand, such is our hunter's plight. Yet with sword and courage in hand, they march forth to pierce the night.
In theory, yes. All you would need to do is survive the rigorous training and master the swordsmanship techniques required to fight the monsters. Still, most people dropped out at the early stages, and others called it quits the minute they saw a monster in person. To become a hunter, you must be strong in both body and mind.
What kind of monsters did the hunters fight exactly? Oh, and the evil sorcerer the script mentions. Did they exist in real life too?
The land of Fontaine once played host to an ancient dynasty known as Remuria. After that dynasty fell, monsters began to appear, intent on obstructing humans from establishing a new social order. One of the ancient sorcerers of Remuria used his power to assemble a formidable army of golems. He sought to use that force to establish himself as king.
Now, wait a second. Don't tell me that guy was the inspiration for the evil sorcerer in the script. We still haven't found any in-game information on him yet. So, why don't you talk about someone else for now?
Well, I wasn't planning on going into anything you might be able to find out in the game. But if you want me to talk about something else, then... How about Casiodor, the Golden Hunter? Or Egeria, the ex-Hydroarchon?
Wait, but those people are all from a super long time ago. Where did you learn all this, Chlorinde?
From my master.
Huh. By master, you mean Miss Petronia?
Is someone you know?
Absolutely. Miss Petronia and my father were good friends. Back in the day, she would often bring Chlorinde over to play, but then...
Let's not get off topic. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Responding to Egeria's call, a number of warriors followed Casiodor into battle against the monsters. This group of warriors, under Casiodor's leadership, became known as the Marechaussee Hunters. Yet, as Fontaine entered an era of peace, their work gradually became obsolete. The Marechaussee Phantom, originally an association made up of hunters, eventually came to be predominantly comprised of Melusines.
Ah, I see. That explains why most of the people in the script have forgotten the hunters or think of them as nothing more than a legend.
Is that really a bad thing, though? It can get tough always being the one shouldering everyone's expectations.
Depends on who you ask, I suppose. If the name of the organization no longer commands respect, investigative work is bound to suffer.
Speaking of investigation... Speaking of investigations, which problem should we tackle first? Monsters or evil sorcerer?
I vote monsters. That's the main duty of the hunters, right? We can come back to the sorcerer later.
Well said, Miss Farina. Plus, if the sorcerers really are the master...
What about you, partner? What do you think? It's decided then.
All right. After some discussion, you decide to turn around and head out of the city.
Let's take a look around, like that guy said.
You there, outside!
Who's there?
An armored man approaches you. He has a tall, muscular build and a determined expression in his eyes. Just one look, and you can tell he's fought in his fair share of battles. Although he's trying his best to conceal his current state, his uneven gait and the sweat dripping down his forehead make it obvious that he's been wounded and is— I'm the captain of the guard. I saw you sneaking around the city. State your purpose, or it's off to the dungeons for the lot of you.
Wow, it's been a while since someone's been this suspicious of us.
I said talk, not
Have you ever heard of the Marchese Hunters?
Marachose hunters? Ha! That fairy tale, you mean? What, do you expect me to believe you're one of them? Using your knowledge of medicine, you're able to deduce that the injury on his calf was a monster's doing, and the wound has already begun to fester. As you check him over, he looks at you with suspicion and retracts his injured leg further back.
I'm a doctor by trade. Please let me redress your wound. You don't have to suffer like this.
The man appears somewhat disgruntled at having been exposed, but soon relents and raises his leg for you to take a better look. He allows you to apply a poultice of specialized medicine to the wound, and it appears to bring him much relief. The tension in his brow eases. All right. Guess you lot might actually be real Marachose hunters after—
Do you know where we can find the monsters? Or the other guards who are fighting them?
He informs you of the various locations where monsters have appeared. He looks in that general direction with a pained gaze, as if a thin, invisible thread is pulling on his wound. Some of our new recruits have never even dealt with a petty thief, and now they're—
Oh, please, sir. Don't get too worked up. You need to focus on your recovery. Just leave the monsters to us. We're Marchose hunters, after all.
Hearing you say that, a glimmer of hope flashes in his eyes. But it disappears almost as quickly as it came. Those monsters aren't easy to deal with. But if you insist on going, I won't stop you either. I just hope all the guards, those monsters. Hearing you say that,
Oh,
he allows you to apply a pull the mana using your knowledge of medicine.
Based on what the captain said, the monster should be right up ahead. Let's go. Hopefully we're not too late.
As you approach the battlefield, you see numerous people lying by the side of the road. They appear to be dressed like guards. Their faces are filled with desperation and terror. Some are screaming and cursing in vain, as if still trying to banish the monstrosities they saw from their minds. A few of the wounded look up at you in shock and disbelief. Quick, leave this place. Turn around and don't look back, they yell.
This is the place he mentioned, right?
You see broken iron swords scattered all around you, and downed trees riddled with terrifying claw marks. All the signs point to one thing. A truly devastating battle just took place here.
Be on your guard, everyone. The monsters might still be around.
Before you can finish your sentence, you hear rustling sounds from the surrounding bushes. The monsters have emerged. They close in on you without fear. You get the impression that, in their bloodthirsty eyes, you're just another meal for them to devour.
A little help here! This thing wants to eat Paimon!
Your battle round begins now.
let my name echo in song!
Let's get this show on the road!
The next battle round begins now.
Well, with rocks.
The monsters let out a terrifying roar of anger and resentment before dissipating into thin air.
Ugh, thank goodness it's over.
We're lucky the Marashose Hunter class came with all those preset skill points. Otherwise, we would—
I never knew the phytometer even determines the amount of damage you inflict. If you get unlucky, isn't it just game over right then and there?
That's part of the fun. The uncertainty of fate is what gives these games their appeal.
Just as you begin to celebrate your victory, a suspicious lump on the ground catches your attention.
A suspicious lump. Wait, could it be?
I walk up to it, crouch down, and begin to carefully examine it. I've still got my right glove on, so it should be fine for me to touch it, right?
As you investigate the mound, you discover that the exposed portion appears to be made of wood. It was previously obscured by the large form of the monsters. With the monsters gone, the small protrusion now awaits your discovery, poking out of the ground like a shy flower bud.
Whoa, it's a treasure chest!
With everyone's help, you successfully excavate the wooden chest from the ground, even without opening it. You can tell from the mora and jewels scattered around the chest that it must contain quite the fortune.
Makes sense. We worked hard for this.
I can understand your excitement, Paimon, but think about it.
Yeah. Think about all the people suffering in the capital, or all those guards who got hurt fighting the monsters. Wouldn't it be better if we gave the treasure to them?
Wait, is that how it works? Paimon thought since we were the ones to dig it up, we could just take it for ourselves.
Well, let's put it this way. Any decision you make during a role-playing game can impact the future course of the story.
But would the people really believe us? It's hard enough for us to prove we're Marcia Say hunters. What if they think we procured the treasure illegally? They might get even more suspicious of us.
That's definitely something we should consider. Maybe...
Well, if donating it could cause that much trouble, why don't we use it to buy some gear and fill up on good food? Then we'll be ready to fight even more bad guys.
What? A critical success? Your luck is through the roof today!
Ugh!
Looks like you're facing a difficult choice once again. Well, it's getting late. Why don't we call it a day for now?
Wow, where did the time go?
I'm not sure if it's because I'm having so much fun with you all or because the story.
Here, here. Ooh, how about we play through the night?
I'm not sure I'll have enough energy for that.
Yeah, that won't work for me either.
I understand how you feel, Navia, but we have to change venues for the next part of the story anyway.
Huh? Another location?
Mm-hmm. There's a special note for the GM at the end of this section that says to proceed to an indoor set for the next part of the script.
Whoa, they really pulled out all the stops for this new script.
Well, even if we end the game for the day, we can still stay a little longer and hear Chlorinde finish her story, right? Paimon wants to hear more about the history of the hunters.
Something tells me you just want to finish the free desserts before we break for the day.
That's just a coincidence, okay? Besides, to Paimon, not finishing free food feels even worse than having to buy your own. And anyway, Paimon really does want to hear more.
Well,
It's nothing. I appreciate the concern, but it's all in the past. It won't do any harm to share these things now. My earliest memories are of living with Master. According to her, she saved me from certain people of ill repute. My birth parents had left me behind some time before that.
What a heavy beginning for a life story.
Master was a fascinating individual, if inexperienced in the ways of raising children. My first ever toy was a short sword. Although I suppose it wasn't so much a toy as something Master removed from her waist and handed to a noisy child in need of distraction.
Oh wait, so she handed an actual sword to a child? Isn't that dangerous? Did you hurt yourself?
Of course I did. I cut my palm and bled quite a lot. But Master was not concerned. She just stood there and casually lectured me about it. See, that's what you get for not holding the sword properly, she told me. She then crouched down next to me and said, "Give me your hand. I'll teach you to bandage this wound. After that, it's time to learn how to truly hold a blade."
Excuse me for asking this, Chlorinde, but
Probably around, 3, give or take.
3? Isn't that when most kids are still struggling to hold a fork?
As I said, Master was rather inexperienced in the ways of raising children. She believed trial and error was the best way to teach a child what they're capable of.
I'm not so sure this is a question of
I didn't see anything wrong with her ways at the time. And anyway, children don't get to choose how they're raised. Oh, she did bring me back a pet from Liyue once. It was a Geovishap hatchling.
A Geovishap hatchling? For a pet?
What she said was this: make sure to get along, you two. If you really can't agree on something, just settle it with a fight. Whoever loses is the real pet.
and
5.
Well, did you win?
No, I lost.
So you're saying you actually became...
Yes, but only for a week. By the end of that week, I defeated it in combat, and we've shared a cordial relationship ever since.
That really doesn't sound like the kind of childhood someone should have.
Later on, I gradually understood that Master most likely didn't know any other way to raise a child. She was a marechaussee hunter, but I never heard her bring up her own parents. Thanks to her, I learned how to navigate the forest by the age of 6, and could hunt monsters in the wild by myself the year after that. Even though the training she subjected me to was strict, she always made sure to take me traveling when she had the time. We met many of her friends during those days. That was also how I met Mr. Callis and his family.
I still remember the first time we met. You were too scared to join our picnic and hid behind Ms. Petronia the whole time.
I still hadn't really met many children my age at that time, so I didn't know how to interact with others.
After that, though, you started coming over a lot. You love challenging people to shooting competitions, remember? I don't think many members of the Spina ever beat you in one of those.
I had a lot of fun during those days.
I enjoyed them too. Oh, do you remember that one time we went exploring around the Spina together? We overheard Papa call your master Fontaine's Protector of Justice. We tried to pretend like we never heard anything, but you nearly let it slip that one time.
Protector of Justice. Oh, wait, you mean that vigilante hero from 20 years ago? The one who is always active at night?
Yep, that would be her. She often would put on a black cloak and go out at night. I never knew where she went or what she was doing. Until, like Navia said, we overheard the truth from Mr. Callis that night.
20 years ago, huh? I still remember the guards leaving all kinds of witness reports about her on Nervalette's desk.
My apologies.
Oh, there's no need to apologize. You had nothing to do with it. And anyway, everything she did was for a good cause. Although, calling herself the Protector of Order was a bit much. Especially when she deliberately operated outside the law.
Huh? When did the Protector of Justice become the
Oh, she had a bunch of code names. I heard she would just come up with a name on the spot whenever she was asked. Later on, she probably got sick of answering those questions and decided to stick to just two. The Protector of Justice and the Protector of Order.
That sounds like her, all right. I bet she forgot which of the two she'd use by the time she got back each night.
Well, she certainly sounds like a...
It's true. It's true. I always wanted to become like her. Someone powerful, independent, and with a strong sense of conviction.
But...
She suddenly disappeared the night I turned 10 years old.
Disappeared? What happened?
I have no idea. She didn't even leave a note. I was never able to find out where she went. That night, I was celebrating my birthday at Navia's house. But Master never came to pick me up. When I returned home on my own, it was to an empty house. When she still didn't appear after a few days, I went to Mr. Callis's house to ask about her whereabouts. But he only shook his head.
Papa probably didn't know either. I know he sent a few people to investigate the matter in secret, but they never found any credible leads.
Don't worry, I understand. To be perfectly honest, given Master's personality and way of doing things, it all made a lot of sense. If I had to guess, I'd say she probably used it as an opportunity to force me to become independent. Just like how, when a litter of kittens reaches a certain age, the mother willingly leaves them behind.
Were you upset, Chlorinde?
I was at first, but not anymore. I don't believe Master would suddenly disappear for no reason. There must have been something she just had to do.
Well, despite everything, you still managed to follow in her footsteps and become the greatest champion duelist in all of Fontaine. You're practically a living symbol of law and justice.
I suspect my position would be far too by the books for her. Master always did whatever she pleased. But you're right. I suppose I do take after her in some ways.
Who knew Chlorinde had such an interesting past? I never had the chance to ask her about it before. I wonder if Chlorine's master were the champion duelist back then. Would that duel against Mr. Callus have gone differently? Oh no. Judging by the atmosphere, Chlorinde and Navia are probably thinking something similar. The mood just got super awkward all of a sudden.
Well, anyway. Would you look at the time? It's getting dark, so we should probably call it a day for real this time. If we keep talking like this, we really will be here all night.
I had a great time today, Miss Chlorinde.
Anytime.
The script was good, but I've got to say, your childhood stories were even better.
I had a great time today, Miss Chlorinde. Thank you for being our GM.
Hey, you should tell us more about that fight against the Geo-Bishop sometime. Maybe your master was onto something.
You could be right.
What does she mean, onto something? I certainly don't know any 5-year-olds who want to fight a bishop in their spare time. Guess I'll head back as well. I need to save my energy if I want to continue enjoying the story tomorrow.
You're that excited to hear about my fight with the bishop?
I was talking about the script.
Just between the two of us, could you tell me what it was like to be the Geo-Bishop's pet?
It was nothing special, really. Geo-Bishops don't understand the concept of a pet. So basically, it just headbutted me whenever I entered its territory.
And that hurt?
Yeah, it hurt. What, something you want to experience for yourself?
Oh, I'm good. Thanks.
The desert's a tough adversary. But at least... hide anything.
Hey, you should tell us more about that fight against the Geo-Bishop sometime.
I had a great time today, Miss Chlorinde. Thank you for being our GM.
Anytime.
I had a great time today, Miss Chlorinde. Thank you for being our GM.
Anytime.
The script was good, but I've got to say, your childhood... You can use your real name too if you want.
Would you like to play on easy mode or authentic? If you choose easy mode instead, every check will be successful by default, and you won't have...
Not necessarily.
Let me see.
You've all picked such classic skill.
Ha ha! Gotta say, this suits you really well. Nothing boosts morale like good food.
Let's see.
For example, this one here. Summon. Doesn't it sound... You've all picked such
Why do I get the feeling she's getting ready to cause trouble?
For example, this one...
The script's world-building rules, huh?
Oh, that's not for us to worry about.
All right, you've convinced Paimon. Let's learn summon then. Paimon can't wait to see what kind of...
Oh, that's not for us to worry about, my friend. Just learn the skills that interest you, and the GM will take care of the rest.
What you see is what you get, and whether you take the challenge is entirely up to you.